Glasgow Underground News Network. Coming through needles up quicker past to heaven. Recent politicians feel as fast as Golden said.
I hope your lions burning fires.
What you've done to this place,
And I can't take no more
Alrighty, welcome to Glasgow Underground News Network, live on truthfrequencyradio.com. My name is Kip. You'll find me on YouTube under Kip1883, Kip's Clips and Freedom News Hub 2.0. As always, my co-host is Kev, and you'll find him over on YouTube under TruthTube451. So, first of all, it's easy to state that it's not the TruthTube, it's TruthTube. He's trying to find the truth. He's not declaring that he knows the truth. So, it's kind of easy, man. Like, channels are a resource, Kev, aren't they?
Thanks for that, Kip. Yeah, you're right. I'm just like all of the listeners. I'm just looking for answers as much as the next guy. Never claimed to be an expert, but it would seem there's a small minority out there who have taken it upon themselves to make me their target of hate. But I did let it get to me, Kip, as you boys know. But decided just rise above it. I'm falling into their trap if we pay them any more attention than they're due.
It pissed you off, but you moved on, didn't you, man?
Exactly, man. Before I introduce our guest tonight, I think it's probably worth mentioning to all the listeners out there that we've just had a passenger jet crash in the city of Kazan in Russia. On Russia Today, they're saying at least 50 people are feared dead. What's happened is a bit sketchy at the moment. Initially, 44 fatalities were reported. I seen at the time they said the pilots were making circles of the runway, Kip. Sounds to me like there may have been some technical difficulties, but tragically, at least 50 so far people have lost their life.
Well, Kev, see, nowadays, nothing will surprise me what I hear on the, even on RT and Al Jazeera. I don't know if you caught my video the other day, but I heard Mohammed Morsi, and this is, I'm only saying this for journalistic purposes only, of course, but Mohammed Morsi get called, hold on, let me think of this, and I don't even know who it was that said it, but if you go and look at my channel, I've got the guy's face and stuff. That was it. He was called a supremacist religious cunt.
What channel was that on, Kip?
Al Jazeera, the one that you get on Council TV in the UK.
Absolutely outrageous.
Now, it's been pointed out that this guy might, obviously, his first language might not have been English, so he could have been saying cult instead of cunt.
Well, I probably think we'll go with the second word, I would say. It's probably a bit more palatable for this time of day to our American audience.
Yeah, but just go and watch it, and I thought it was quite amusing.
Well, Kip, tonight we've been joined by a good friend and one part of the trio that sings the introduction music to the show. He's Daze from Fractal Distractions. I'd like to welcome you on the show. Daze, how's things, man?
Hi folks, everything's excellent over here. Thanks very much for having us on. Pleasure to be associated with you guys.
An absolute pleasure to have met you a few months ago at that protest in Glasgow, Days, and since then our friendship, myself, you, Kip, John, Martin, our little network, our network has kind of grown, and it's nice to connect with local people on a local level. And yourself and Kip have been pretty busy this week. And I'll hand over to Kip just now to explain to the listeners just what you two have been up to.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't want to blow my own trumpet, man, but I actually done a good day's work for a change. But like on Friday, there was meant to be a protest down at Kev. Is it Anwar?
Yeah, this is a character I'm not too sure of, but yeah, it's somebody Anwar anyway.
Anas Anwar, mate.
Nice one. Anwar Sanwar.
Anas Anwar.
Anwar, right. Sorry.
Mr. Anwar.
and Mr. Anwar, but he was meant to be holding a surgery for open to the public, and then there was going to be a protest because he said he was against the bedroom tax and he didn't turn up in Parliament to vote. The rumour is that he was in Pakistan, where his dad used to be a MP over here, I believe, and then now he's in Pakistan, and he's I think he's leader of the Punjab or something, like a big massive region.
He's a massive tribal leader now, isn't he? He's been given some job over there.
It's like a mayor of London, but it's like a big region, and I might be stand corrected in this. The Punjab or something jumps into my mind. Whether that's wrong or right, I don't know. But so anyway, so he was meant to vote against the bedroom tax and he didn't. So people were turning up there to vote against the bedroom tax. People were turning up at his surgery to protest against the bedroom tax and his hypocrisy. He doesn't turn up, the office remains closed, the surgery doesn't happen. Police are there, there's a couple police fans. Now, I met Days in the town before we went down, so we walked down together, and as we walked down, first thing you see, man, well, first thing you're hoping to see is a lot of good looking, a good hearted individuals, which you do see. Then you realise a lot of them have got prefabricated, if you want to call them, signs. Is it this? Because I get this round the wrong way because I don't pay attention. The Scottish Socialists, the Social Party of Scotland, one of the two.
I think it's the Scottish Socialists, isn't it? Either or, the same. It all fits.
Now, not that I think they're inherently evil or anything, but I just don't think they're the answer, and I think they're wanting their wee bit of power in this system that exists. So I'm not going to turn up there and pick up a socialist, because there's lots of people, goodwill people who don't really support the socialists will turn up and they've got hundreds of signs and stuff, and I don't like that.
Well, what was let's pass it over to Days. What was your first impressions when you turned up at this surgery, Days? What were you hoping to achieve by visiting Anwar's surgery?
Well, I done a video there recently, and I called him the Hypocrite of the Year because he challenged Nicola Sturgeon to sign the bill to abolish the bedroom tax a few weeks ago live on TV Debate. And the fact that he didn't bother to vote on it himself when it came to the crunch, like a quarter of the Labour MPs, they didn't bother showing up either. Their fake rage on the issue, it just shows them to be totally false, because initially it was their idea, you know. A lot of people forget about that. And just to explain the sort of concept to the bedroom tax to the American audience, it's like people in Britain, when they're unemployed, they're given a sort of a minimum that they'll have to survive on, you know. This money's taken from that basic already. If you have like a spare bedroom, say you've had a recent bereavement, or even to house special needs equipment for the disabled, etc., you know, and there simply isn't near enough vacant, lesser apartmented houses for these people to move to. So if you don't bring in a lodger, i.e. break up the natural family structure, then you choose to heat or eat in the winter for most people affected. It's just an absolute disgrace.
When you're talking about eating or heating, this is another brilliant example of the hypocrisy that you were just talking about a moment ago, Days. You've got, on one hand, Ed Miliband coming out and absolutely monstering the power companies for daring to put up their prices. Okay, but at the same time, behind the scenes, you've got Labour peers that are actually profiting because they sit on the boards as non-executive members on the very same power companies. One example of this is a woman called Baroness Denise Kingsmill. Now, she sits on the board of E.ON, and she made a six-figure sum in the past 18 months, while at the same time, her party leader is out there damning these same companies.
It's authoritative impunity, you know. I really don't know what it's going to take to shake the vast majority of people out their apathy. You know, what is it going to take?
Kev and Days, can I ask you both something? Right, you were both at George Square And Days, you were at the BBC as well now. Do you think there's people there who aren't who they say they are?
Well, I'll let Days answer that because me and Days had a brief conversation about that at George Square. So take it away, Days.
I think you're always going to get that, but I have had a wee idea recently about opting a co-opt. You know, even if you find that there's elements of a movement, or you find that a movement might be fundamentally flawed, we can co-opt that movement as well, you know, and turn it into something that we want to promote, you know.
Definitely, Days. It's kind of a spin on my idea of hijacking their controlled revolution. They're going to bring it on anyway. All we have to do is just pick the right time and actually steer it our way.
That's exactly my thoughts on it, Kev. Yep.
So back to Anwar. What happened then, Kip, when you were down there? Did you get to see the dude? Was there anything to be gained by your visit there?
Oh, damn right, man. Well, obviously, I met days beforehand. We rocked up, and as I said, we were met with a barrage of. It was a group of socialists. With this one distinctive-looking guy. I'm going to pick my words carefully here because he seemed like a gent. A distinctive-looking guy. He had an SMP. The dog collar on, and he was he turned out to be born in '93, so he's about 20-year-old, and he's a councillor for Baillieston. He's councillor for Baillieston and all that area, mate. Can't remember his name.
It was Austin somebody. I can't remember his surname,
Austin, mate. Aye, mate. I don't know what I was going to say, but Austin, spot on. And seemed real. He's 20-year-old, right? For a 20-year-old, he knew a lot. But to be a councillor and stuff...
Has he been corrupted yet? No? Is he still full of good ideas and great intentions?
He said that we did give him things to think about, didn't we? Didn't he?
I did. I liked the cut of his jibe, you know. But ultimately, I think he's misguided. You know what I mean? Because he's not politically independent. As you kind of made me aware of that, you know, like just through talking to him. But I mean, at the end of the day, what they were saying was at least we're having a political discussion here. At least this real political discussion is taking place because it's not taking place in the mainstream media. You know, we hammered it out really. You know, and I think your video is testament to that.
Well, I would urge anybody listening to this, right? If you want to, I called it politics Kip style, and I really think everybody should watch it because I think this is what I think politics should be like, right? Not like the Russian one where they start running about with machetes and punching each other up and all that. But I don't know if you noticed days when I was shouting and stuff at some points, the crowd was getting bigger and smaller. But anybody that was there at that, because I think we got 2 new listeners, I can't remember the guys' names, but the guys that were in the video, if they're listening, kudos, guys.
People have been, they don't expect emotion when people are speaking about politics anymore. They expect these sort of Blair-moulded people that don't point at the camera, they use their thumb and their first finger and all these sort of techniques. It's just that you don't fit that box, mate, so they couldn't deal with it, in my opinion.
No, they couldn't deal with it, man. They didn't. Well, everybody that was there, I think's got more or less, apart from the leaders, has got a good heart. But I think there's leaders I don't know, man, even doing it that BBC thing.
So what's this BBC thing? What happened there then? Because I've seen a lot of pictures yesterday flying about Facebook. I believe it was called Op BBC. Would I be right?
Well, apparently it was more worldwide than I thought. I thought there's lots of places worldwide that took place. I think in the way that one particularly stood out is the fact that there was people there that brought the wee set up and whatnot for burning the TV license, which I thought was pretty cool. and the tweet apparently got retweeted on the old Russia Today's Russia. Do you know how not Russia Today, Britain, not Russia Today America, but Russia Today's Russia. So
Russia today,
Russian.
comrade.
I forgot to call you comrade.
No, you'll be giving away my communist links, man. You can't be doing that. So how many numbers turned up down at Op BBC in Glasgow then, guys? Was it a good turnout, or was it back to being like Edward Snowden's birthday party, Kip, where it was me, you, one other, and a cake?
Oh, it wasn't Snowden's party. It was about 40 strong.
Yep.
Maybe you could give or take whatever your way, but let's just say about 40-ish.
So what's happening in Glasgow now? Because we had the George Square protest there for November the 5th in unison with all the cities around the world, part of the Million Mask March. We've had you guys going down and doorstepping MPs at their surgeries along with other people. We've had Op BBC. Is Glasgow got a bit of a truth vibe going on right now? Are people looking for answers?
Can I say something right now, right? And fake it, I'm going to say it, man. I can't organise nothing, but after seeing today, it was such a good feeling in the sense that somebody somewhere put a date down, put it on Facebook, and even that small amount of people, or that perceived small amount of people, to me that was a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't think the numbers really. I don't really judge a protest by the numbers. I
think more people should do it, man. I think more people should do it.
You know what though, Days? Maybe you'll agree, maybe you'll disagree, but as like groups of people go and protest, and the protests become more frequent, and austerity gets harsher and harsher, and people are questioning things, surely them seeing other people going out and taking action will encourage them to actually do something themselves, and it gives them somebody to approach to air their problems with. Because you know what it's like when you're first waking up. The last thing you want to do is look stupid in front of your trendy friends.
Definitely. I think we're in the middle of a alternative independent media explosion just now, and we can really, if we really get a hold of this, we can make these institutions, these sick institutions, obsolete that have been lying to us for too long. You know, even though the numbers weren't great at the March Against Mainstream Media on Saturday, it's not the point. See, the people that were there, they didn't give their silent consent to the agenda. The false flag terror events, the collusion, the suppression of truth, the persecution of the Palestinians, the lies in Syria. We could go on and on and on. The report of the collapse to the World Trade Center 7 building 10 minutes before the event, while it's still in shot behind the reporter. And there's just so many other things that you learn at these events through people as well. Like there's a royal charter of 9 commissioners for the BBC that are handpicked by the Queen, you know, and they're receiving funding from the EU, which would lead a person that was actually paying the TV licence into treason, you know. But sometimes it's good to go to these things, look around, see how many strong you stand, you know, and find support within each other.
Definitely, Dave. Well said. And when you're talking about numbers, Kip, you'll probably have a better idea. I don't know the figure off the top of my head, but they reckon at the start of the American Civil War, the American uprising that led to 1776, it was something, I think it was even lower than 5% of the population that took up arms. So the numbers ain't really any way to judge how much effect you're having, because a few people can make change.
Well, see, one of the new positive things I took away from the meeting the other day down at the BBC was the fact that there was all ages, all generations, all types. The numbers didn't matter. The fact that there was people that was turning up. Other people would say that they've got a problem that some of the people that turned up had a mask on. I would argue in a sense, no matter what you say about the mask, it's bringing good people. That whether you love or hate that mask, that mask is getting good people who otherwise wouldn't be involved at that thing down there, at least shown to protest, and then you say, well, it's not good protesting at an anonymous event. Well,
Dave, sorry, Kip.
Can I finish this? Well, if you don't think it's good to go down to an anonymous event, don't go down. But otherwise, you can go down, contribute, speak to a lot of brilliant-hearted people, and then that's how you can contribute. No point of standing in standing by and just going, oh, they're stupid for doing X, Y, or Z.
Well, I think anyone that's got this issue with the mask, and you see it all the time, I think really they're asking the wrong questions and they're fighting the wrong battles. There's far more important things to get tied up in than questioning the logos or surrounding the movement that's taking off. Anonymous is, how am I trying to put this? They're the group right now that are a bit active, so yeah, we do kind of attach ourselves to that. That's why I go along to anonymous things. I meet a lot of people, met days at an anonymous kind of protest against the bedroom tax, and like you were saying there, Kip, when you're in these groups of people, it's the connections you make that you can take more away than something about a mask.
Kev, sometimes I'm pedantic about words, right? So I do need to ask you about this, right? And you're saying you're attached to anonymous, right? Me personally, right? I cannot say I am anonymous. I've never hacked anything. I can't hack anything. I'm not anonymous in the sense that I've got a face in my videos.
I do an admin on one of their major groups on Facebook, plus I've put out their videos in the past, so that's why I say I'm loosely attached to them, because I have done a bit of media.
Like, I think I'm being as pedantic as a football supporter who would say, are you a fan or supporter?
Well, it's even down at Bilderberg. I can't mind who it was I was speaking to, but they were kind of breaking it down. The anonymous, you've got the road hag or the road fags, and then you've got the hacker fags, and you've got the media fags and things like that. It's all different people all coming together. Me, I would associate myself as somebody that puts out videos of what I would choose as being a genuine op. You know what I mean?
Kev, can I sort of shit, man? I need to clarify this, man, before. Jesus, I'm not having a go at you putting it.
No. I was just trying to explain. I was trying to explain why I'd said I was attached, because you were being pedantic on your words again, mate. Elaborating for you.
I'm just sort of fucking asking. I'm just asking, man.
Right. What was I going to say there? Days, what's your feelings on Anonymous, man?
Do you know? I'm the same as yourself in the sense that I've met a few people now that's within the group, and I would be loath to criticise them, because I know they're doing good work, and I know their heart's in the right place. And for me though, the only sort of things that I have a sort of bone of contention about is the fact that anybody. This is why I believe they're kind of fundamentally flawed. But again, I'm really, really loath to attack them. I don't want to, but. The fact that anybody could claim to be anonymous, and I know this might not be an important point to some people who really look at it, but for me, I always look at symbology. I always look at occult symbology, and I can see the laurel wreaths or the olive branches around the headless figure, and it's just alarm bells. You know, I mean, that is a fascist symbol going back to Rome.
Even where you take the mask, where that comes from, if you want to go to the film V for Vendetta, it's Freeman touches on the fact that basically what you're watching is trauma-based mind control, where he has the girl locked up in a cell, he puts her through hell, and then once she admits that she's worthless, she gets out again, and she has her moment up on the balcony watching things. So, yeah,
guys, I want to say I agree with everything you've both just said there, but just for like disclaimers and stuff, we support Anonymous more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
So do not DDoS attack his motherfuckers. Because we are only dissing Anonymous. That is not the sense. I love everybody. I love every good person in Anonymous, and I think the Anonymous thing in itself can definitely be easily corrupted, and it could be used for very bad controls on the internet and stuff.
Well, we're going to be going to break in just 1 minute, Kip.
Oh.
So after the break, I'm not actually too sure what we're going to get into then, guys. I think Days was telling us something interesting before the show, but I think we're going to keep that for later on, ain't we?
We're talking about beard clippers.
Beard clipper, beard tips.
Clippers. Beard clippers.
No, it was a private joke. It won't work on radio, man. But anyway, yeah, remember to stay tuned after this show for Chris Everard. He'll be coming up live for 2 hours, and then that's followed closely by Chris and Cherie Geo with Truth Frequency Radio News. So please stay tuned, join us straight after the break. Okay, welcome back everyone. You're tuned into the live broadcast of Gone Glasgow Underground News Network. I'm joined tonight by my co-host, Kip, and we're also joined by another member of the Glasgow Underground News Network, Days. He plays for the band Fractal Distractions. That's his music that you can hear at the start of every show. Days, where can people find you on YouTube and social media?
Just basically under that name, Fractal Distractions, on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, all the usual outlets.
Days, I think we need to shout out your new one because I know I've just realised myself, and I'm a lazy so-and-so and I've not changed it yet, but my featured channels, I've got your YouTube is Fractal Distractions, but the one that you've put up, your recent couple of cracking clips, I believe is on a channel called Days, then we might be murdering this, is it Days Independent Media?
It's Days Independent News. It's like DIN.
Independent News, sorry mate.
That's the sound a gun makes, you know, a DIN.
And
So you can remember it. DAIZ, Independent News.
Aye, check out that channel, man, and I'm going to need to move it up to my featured channel. I've not got around to doing it yet. But
Well, I've actually just posted that in the chat room for everyone that's in there. It should come up in a wee minute, because it's logged me out because I've been inactive for so long, so bear with me, the people in the chat room.
Because I know you're a journalist, Days, and you can't give away your sources, so you don't know where this footage comes from, and you can't name the individual, but you put up some footage of a TV license getting burned.
Oh, that's right, yes. There was a burning of a TV licence in the last video. That's right, that's just
Came through your diplomatic sources, didn't it, man?
It's just a wee symbol for people, you know. We don't need to tolerate lies.
Mate, I think that's a real strong symbol, I really do. I think it's a cracking video, man.
Thanks very much.
Days, I mean, we've been seeing a lot more videos from you just lately. You were also over in the summer, was it the G8 protest?
Kev, see if I interrupt, man, see in general terms, I actually seen, like, people were like, well, you've got a TV, like, I see on the stuff that I put up about the Occupy BBC, the criticism, some criticism, not even criticism, was like, why burn something you've paid for? Right, I think it's more symbolic than anything. Whether there are people that are symbolic of, there are people that realise after they bought that it's now bull crap, and I dare say somebody who burns their TV licence might not renew it. People fail to see that, and it's weird how people focus on this is why I wanted to interject, sorry Kev, because it's weird how people focus on bull crap, right? I mean,
again, they're asking the wrong questions and they're concentrating on the wrong topics, really, if you ask me.
Mate,
Just to clarify, sorry, Kip, one.
I was going to say, just even talking in general terms as well, Kev, a lot of people really need to realise, man, like this whole thing, whether you want to think about making one video or 10 videos a day or doing X, Y or Z, however you want to contribute, it's not a competition. You see who knows the most, who's the biggest, who's the best. who can do it. That's not a competition. It's meant to be.
Let's face it, Kip, if we were wanting to get famous or get views and figures, we would play games on there, or we would go and film fat kids farting and burping and stuff like that.
Mate, I'm more likely to get assassinated than get fucking famous. But anyway, but it's meant to be, everybody's meant to be chipping in their own wee bit of information into everybody's head, and then they can make up their own mind. But instead it turns into a fucking some sort of a who can pee the highest competition, and it's bullcrap, man. I swear to God. Like, see if you don't like somebody's channel, switch away, morons.
Well, I'm noticing a bit of a trend happening now. And the other night I carried out a bit of a test, and what it was the night of there was a shooting outside a school in Pittsburgh, and I believe there was 3 youths shot, 2 17-year-olds and a 16-year-old, and basically the police spokeswoman came on and she was talking about how the police were actively searching for actors. Now, I'd done the initial report days about what had happened, very factual, no speculating, nothing like that, fair and balanced. Bang, put that up. Now, about an hour later, I decided to put up the clip where the woman says actors. Now, that in itself, to me personally, doesn't prove anything anyway, okay? However, what I was wanting to answer in my own mind, basically, was I'm starting to see that there's a section of truthers, for lack of a better phrase, are only interested if the truth, no matter what the event, happens to be spectacular. They need a harp involved, or it needs to have a false flag attached. Sometimes truth, it's just truth. You can't dress it up. You can't put bells and whistles on it. But that doesn't seem to appeal to these people that claim they're truthers.
Kev, I don't think truth exists. This is people's faked up. This is some people's problem. This is why everybody's in corners and in groups and in camps. Because I think there is that is the truth. That is the truth. In fact, I'm going to say...
No, they're not interested. That's my point, Kip. They're not interested in the truth. They're more interested in if you put a bit of... If you just spin it, just connect dots that ain't even there. If not, they just move on.
The more important questions are, where are we and how we're going to sort it out? Not what is the truth. I mean, I don't... Does that make any sense that people get hung up on debating the... Again, I'm not putting down all the information and all the people who have put in all the hard work into sorting out and putting out lots and lots of very strong arguments for lots of theories. That's all commendable and all needed in the ultimate search for, like, if you want to actually try and get anywhere near what you consider to be the truth. But I don't think there is a truth or the truth. I think it's as close as you can get to it.
I know what you're saying, but that wasn't really the point I was getting at.
I know, sorry, mate, that was just...
What I was getting at was you have to actually... It's not enough anymore just to report the truth and connect dots. You have to actually make it as exciting and as spectacular as you can. Have you seen any of that going on, Days, or am I just maybe overthinking things?
No, I think some people are looking for infotainment as opposed to a search for truth. I do think that truth exists. I listen to a lot of Mark Passio, and he talks about natural law and stuff like that. And he basically says the truth is what has occurred, just very simply. And I think it's one of the tenets to sort of Satanism or Luciferianism to believe that the truth is just sort of subjective to your own sort of interpretation of it. Do you know what I mean? I believe that there is an objective truth,
Well, it's the same as if the three of us sit and watch a car crash. I bet you afterwards, after the fact, if you took us into 3 separate rooms, we've all watched the same event, but every one of our version of it, no matter how real it is, no matter how close it is to our truth, I bet you it'd all be conflicting.
Well, that's perception, isn't it, as opposed to truth? If the truth would be what happened at that event, and our perception would be our 3 versions of that.
Definitely, man. That's definitely a better way of putting it, Days. Kip, what are you saying, man? You're sitting there looking deep in thought.
I was just having a brain fart, actually, man. What the hell were we talking about?
Well, it's Actually, the best word to use for it, and it's
No.
a big shout out to Nick here for dropping in the Skype, it's sensationalism. You have to make it sensational. It's always got to be. It's like, take this tornado, the super tornado over in the Philippines, for an example. I haven't looked into the ins and outs of it, okay? But I can guarantee you that there'll be, well, I know for a fact there's people out there saying, this was HAARP, this was a weather attack. Now, I think you have to throw into the mix here that this is the time of year where you get typhoons. This time last year, 1,200 people died. But the minute you attach HAARP to it, and weather weapons, wow. The infotainment community, because I think they're different from truthers, they absolutely seize upon that. And you just need to look at the views, the ratio of views when you add something like HAARP into the title, or just report on an actual event.
It makes a world of difference. And then see if people... This is a good way of judging if people are actually wanting the truth or infotainment. An example I like to use is the Woolwich incident with the terror thing with the guy with the hands. A lot of people were unwilling to accept the fact that somebody out there would manipulate that to make it look like X. Whether I'm not saying what one's right or what one's wrong. I'm saying people out there weren't willing to accept that there was a chance that somebody would colour that to make money off it, and YouTube hits, and it's...
Well, we seen at the time, we looked at that quite closely, Kip, and the videos that were dealing with that kind of thing compared to ours, who were not debunking, but just putting out our view on it. It was like 10 views to every one, probably, when you looked at it. The amount of views that channels on YouTube were getting, the sensational channels, as I call them.
Conversely, sometimes I think, well, the truth can be sensational.
Oh,
and
totally, Dave. Totally.
I am into a lot of these fringe sort of topics. So.
And the flip side of that, though, is, Dave, that not all of the time the truth is exciting. Sometimes it's just dull and mundane. It is what it is.
Yep.
You can't make it something it isn't. But to attract the minds of a large proportion of people on YouTube now, you have to add that to it.
Well, I don't know. I think following on from what Des was saying, he kind of agree with him. It's like you can take the minutest thing like a parking fine and go, why the hell would you get upset? Why the hell? But then when you take that and stand back and see it as part of the big, a smaller part of the bigger police state, that is when you have the problem with it. I mean, in itself, it wouldn't normally bust your chops too much because it's a parking ticket, so and so for paying the whatnot. But if you step back and you're getting assaulted everywhere by the state, on your wages, on your car, I mean, everywhere. There's nowhere that you're constantly running about feeling like a criminal and persecuted, trying to dodge fines. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, man. I don't think there's any mass murderers or any dangerous individuals in this chat room. But do you walk about the streets feeling protected, or do you walk around the streets feeling, what am I going to do that gets me a fine?
Well, I work in CCTV, Kip, so I know for a fact that CCTV does not prevent crime. It's only really good after the fact, looking back for documentary evidence and things. So all this baloney about CCTV being put up to make you feel safer and stuff like that, absolute baloney in practicality.
Aye, man.
What about you, Dave? Do you feel safe walking down the road at night?
I feel instantly criminalised when the camera's on me. It's treating me like a criminal right away, and I've not done anything wrong.
Well, we're all suspects nowadays. Suspects until we prove otherwise. And of course now you're getting microphones put in lampposts over in America, listening to their every move. It's come out as well that there was an NSA document that makes Edward Snowden's revelations look quite tame in comparison. And it's basically, they're tracking everyone. And I'm not talking about terrorists, I'm talking about they're pointing the cameras and the tracking systems in the way, and they're just tracking everyone in America. The citizens, like you said there, you're instantly a suspect, you're instantly a criminal.
Okay, but I was thinking about people putting up YouTube videos for the first time or the first few times, or I don't know, people who just in general put up YouTube video stuff and then you wait for the feedback. So a lot of the feedback, and if it turns out to be negative, that people get for having the balls to put out an opinion, not even, and more than that, putting it out on YouTube, a lot of the opinions come from people who have not got the courage and their convictions, even enough to stick their face behind their message, stick a channel behind their message. And it's not like, oh, well, you don't need to join YouTube, you can put your message out elsewhere.
I think my advice would be, if you don't have a thick skin, don't go for it. I mean, I don't even have a thick enough skin for it, Kip. Like, you know, every couple of months it builds up in me and I just snap, man.
Well, Kev, I was thinking, man, and I think a lot of people need to understand this as well. It's a good way to get people to do their first videos and just start to go, fuck it. It's not about having confidence, man. I am not, anytime I make a video or do anything less, I ain't confident about jack. I ain't confident with jack shit, man. I'm not confident in anything. I either don't think about it and just, you know, go by the sweat of my balls.
Well, Days, he's actually just moving into the videos, so he's starting out right now. How does he feel about it?
This is what I'm saying. I don't even think it's about confidence, mate. I think it's more about just getting over the fear.
Would you agree with that, Days?
I think I was saying...
It's just getting over that first hurdle. It is. And I hope that I'll never, ever, ever care about what any hater thinks about me, you know what I mean? Because in my mind, I just see it as it's easier to destroy than it is to create. That's why so many morons' minds are full of hate. That's it in a nutshell for me.
Plus, you'll find most of the hate will come in the form of ad hominem attacks. Anyway, they'll attack you. They won't attack what you're saying, Days. It's just you. They can't shoot down your info. They just go for you. And I shouldn't read the comments, or I shouldn't really pick up on the negative ones. But like I said before, over time, Kip, you've had it as well, man. It gets you after a bit. It chips away at you.
It bugs your tits after a while, it really does.
To anyone who kind of doesn't know what we're talking about, this week I'm a Russian communist. I'm working for Putin, Russia Today.
Comrade, I said I was going to call you comrade before the show.
No, plus I'm also working with the dead Bill Hicks, who is now Alex Jones. Yeah, I've had a pretty good week, quite a busy week. I hope the paychecks start flying in soon, Kip. I'll wedge you up, man.
I just think that sort of ridicule's the first sign of a lack of argument, you know?
Definitely. It was like I was saying, Days, they don't attack like your actual information. Just one example, I posted a video where Alex Jones was speaking to Mancow Muller, and it was about Harry Lennox training Obama to be an actor. Now, basically, Alex Jones sat there and let Mancow do all the talking, but you look in the comment section and it's poor AJ, he's getting it tight. Nobody's debating the fact about what the substance of the video was. And it's just pure hate towards AJ. I don't know how people like him and Ike deal with it. I really don't.
They're big.
I think you've got them on the ropes, mate, and that's all they've got to hit you back with.
Yeah, you could be right. I think that's the only way I can look at it, whether that is right or wrong. You probably are right, but it's the only way you can deal with it, because I've been overthinking it, and anyone on my channel will know I've not been posting my regular 5-6 videos a day, so...
Kev, your channel's there, man, for people who want it, right? People who tune in get your channel, man, what you're doing.
Well, it was a message I got last night.
Don't watch it. You're not forcing it down anybody's neck. And fuck it, mate. I analyse. I was going to get horrible there. I analyse everything. I try and analyse everything. I mean, like almost everything.
Well, it was last night.
And you know, when I've analysed your channels, you know what I see? A guy doing a good job, man.
Cheers, man. It was the private messages last night. Somebody had wrote to me to say that I'd woke them up, basically, and that I've got them to the point they couldn't make videos, but they've started writing a PDF book, and they're going to be putting that out. And that reminded me why I started in the first place, Kip, just to even wake one person up. And the fact that somebody's saying that my channel's inspired them to do that, that wiped the negative out right away, and that's why I was saying to you last night, ask me ready to come back now, you know what I mean? It was silly on my part to tune into it, but it's gone now.
I don't want anybody to agree with anybody. It sounds horrible as if I want warfare and stuff, but I want everybody to respect everybody else's point of view.
I mean, I don't mind the people that come on and shoot down my info.
Me and you see differently in a few points. Man.
Exactly.
Not many, but a few.
It'd be a boring world, Kip, if everyone thought the same way, and that is the way that the New World Order would probably like us. Nobody questioning anything at all, and just getting on.
Well, no, I think the most important thing is if you do share even strong views, if you share them differently, deciding that you can't associate, be pals with each other.
Well, I mean, even if you look at this network, I bet you there's even hosts that if they were on a round table, they would have opposing arguments, but yet they can still sit there and debate, and I think that's how people can... I mean, that's surely why you're in this kind of information realm anyway, is it not? You want to learn from other people with their other ideas.
I was going to say grown up, like in the Rangers Celtic term, you're always grown up. We had an automatic big barrier there, especially for young males, man, in Glasgow area.
Hey, Glasgow is Britain's friendliest city, but at the same time, is it not its murder capital as well?
Oh, we'll be friendly as fuck while we're murdering you, aye? That's what.
Encapsulated in the Glasgow kiss.
That's it. We'll stab you and then pay for your taxi to the hospital.
I came across a clip the other day, and it was a guy with a machete, and he was chasing two coppers of it.
It does. It looks like downtown Fallujah some nights, doesn't it? Maybe not as bad as that. We've probably just killed the Scottish tourist industry. Our American brothers and sisters do love to come over to these shores regularly. It's great. Loch Ness, the monster, come and see it.
Haggis hunting?
Kev. Alistair Crowley shit up in Loch Ness. Tell us a wee bit about that stuff, man.
Well, he had a house up there, Boleskine House.
How close, like, Inverness?
Well, I was at Fort Augustus. It was recently in the news, exposed by my friends in the BBC. A paedophile scandal had kind of erupted surrounding the local Catholic abbey. But when you're talking about Alistair Crowley, you're maybe talking about a 10-minute, 15-minute drive, Kip. And it's up on the hillside overlooking Loch Ness. And it's rumoured that he actually tried to carry out a magic ritual there. Well, just let me... Crowley himself, it's rumoured that he tried to carry out the Babylon working there. Now what that is a magic ritual where you're basically trying to cross the abyss. And it's rumoured that when he was doing this, he left nodes of evil open. There was demonic gateways opened up. And to this day, they haven't been closed. And I know when I was growing up that he was the scary man. He was rolled out to make you be good when you were playing up, when you were a wee guy. But it's a very, very ominous place. And like you say, Jimmy Page, he went on to buy the property. He didn't actually live there. He had a landlord kind of caretaker. But Jimmy Page is an interesting character as well if you check him out. Because when you look at some of his concerts, some of the poses that he strikes, that he gets the crowd to do in unison with him, you can find them in Crowley's book. They're actually attached to... Sorry, Des?
Oh, he influenced a lot of...
You can actually still... I mean, even Hollywood today, a lot of the symbology that you're looking at is actually from Alistair Crowley and the OTO. Would I be right there, Kip? A lot of Freeman's work involved in that, obviously.
I make sure I was a bit distracted there for 2 seconds, but I definitely, man, and that's why I was asking you, because recently I had heard this before, but for whatever reason, the two thought patterns of you being from up that neck of the woods and Alistair Crowley being touching in the vicinity, I was wondering whether in your boyhood escapades, whether you may have explored in and around these wee premises or something like that. Do you know how, like, when you were a young teenager or something?
Like I said, even passing it in a car, it was one of the... You get the willies, you'd get the goosebumps and that because you knew it was Crowley's house up on the hill. It was an ominous place. But it was just last summer. I still have to put the video together. I've got some brilliant footage. that was the first time I'd actually been in the grounds of the house, and it was quite mad when you go round to the far side, the blind side of the house. I don't know if anyone's ever heard any of the work about the pine cone symbology. You get it in the Vatican. They've got the big pine cone, and then it's connected to the pineal gland. Well, it just so happens Crowley's garden has got a lot of pine cone symbology as well. That's everywhere. You've got the pillars of, is it Joachim and Boaz, right in the front of the house. It's not an actual couple of pillars, Kip. It's actually as if it's been chipped away into the original stonework. So yeah, symbology, lots of it.
Aye. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say about, I think I've said this to both you guys about the Statue of Liberty inside Glasgow.
Oh no, do tell.
Yeah.
Did I say to you, Days, and not you, Kev, yet? No?
Yeah. You actually fill us in, Kip. I'm gonna hang up and I'm going to reconnect you. Your connection's gone a bit wookie there, man. So tell everyone, Kip, about the Glasgow Statue of Liberty. We've only got a minute and a half left.
Well, I've not fully got the information as of yet, but according to the woman who granted does know less than me, was made around the same time as the Statue of Liberty, and it's sitting on top of Glasgow City Chambers, and it is the Statue of Liberty, same pose, same woman, same hermaphrodite, Baphomet style, flat chested.
You mean Lady Gaga's sitting on top of the Glasgow City Coven?
Yeah, nobody knows it's there, mate.
That's what we should call that place from now on. It's not Glasgow City Chambers, it is a coven.
It's Gaga's.
I think that was Days' line went a bit funny there. We're going to be going out to break, so please make sure, go and grab a cup of tea and join us again in a couple of moments for more from Gun.
Alrighty, welcome back to Gun. Glasgow Underground News Network, live on truthfrequencyradio.com. My name is Kip. You'll find me on YouTube under Kip1883, Kip's Clips, and Freedom News Hub 2.0. As always, my co-host
and good comrade
sometimes, when he's not ahead of the party, 90 Truth Tube. You put me off with the call.
Sorry, I need to actually throw this in now while I remember. Jamie in the chat room. In fact, it's somebody called Real in the chat room. Thank you very much. But somebody has just said, Aleister Crowley, definitely the father of Barbara Bush.
Defo.
And that's Jamie. Thank you for that one. Sorry, I got lost in the chat there, but yeah, Jamie, I have to agree with that. Anyone who wonders what we're talking about, just Google the two of them, have a look at the photographs, and it's undisputable in my opinion.
Uncanny. And then you've got to look at Aleister Crowley on the Beatles album, affiliated with the Rolling Stones, affiliated with Led Zeppelin, obviously, as we were talking about through Inverness.
Well, I think Mr. Daisley here, he knows a lot about Aleister Crowley. What's your thoughts on him, Days?
Just one of the most prominent black magicians of all time. His influence can be felt right through the 20th century, from Churchill to Lady Gaga.
I was just about to ask you, is it his symbology and numerology and things that we do see in Hollywood and the music industry today? Would that be a fair assessment?
That would be a fair assessment, yes. Basically, the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing. Like he was the architect of all that, you know.
Days, what's your thought on Aleister Crowley said that children should basically be exposed to all kinds of sexual acts, okay? And then you've got stars like Keisha coming out and telling the world, and I'm sorry if this is a bit crude, but this is what she comes out with. She says basically that her vagina is possessed by an interdimensional demon, and she gets raped by it every couple of nights. and you've got our 6-year-old fans, maybe younger. Is that all part of the Crowley indoctrination? If that's the right word?
Well, Kev, it's not like it's not like me to clean it up or whatever. But here's a slightly cleaner version of the satanic worship. It's not the vagina getting haunted, but as we were talking about taking time away, and I was watching a wee bit of the, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Paul O'Grady show. And the Pet Shop Boys was in the Paul O'Grady show. Now, Days, you being a musician, you may have a strong opinion on the Pet Shop Boys. I really don't. I've never thought about them much before. But on this piece that was broadcast live, I don't think they were singing live or whatever, but it was broadcast live, I presume, on the Paul O'Grady show. They had two dancers either side of them with Baphomet heads on, in the sense that it was either real goat heads or fake goat heads that look really real. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I love the Pet Shop Boys. Musically, I love the Pet Shop Boys. What an influence on synth pop, you know.
I don't know their alliances or...
Well, Days, I was looking at your Facebook yesterday and you actually taken pictures of some Baphomet symbology. Do you want to tell the listeners about that?
Just before moving on, basically, the Pet Shop Boys, yep, I love them musically, but what I've learned to do with musicians is separate the art for the politics, you know, the music for the politics. And a lot of the time, I'm not kind of letting them away with whatever they've come up with, but a lot of the time that's a set manager or somebody that's more involved in that kind of thing that's taking over and taking that decision out of their hand. I'm not excusing them.
Are they just tapping into like the times of today where people are tuning into that symbology, or is there some deeper, more nefarious reason behind it? Are they part of something?
Possibly, but...
Because I don't want to... Days, mate, I'm not certainly suggesting that, they're satanic for that popping up. As you said, there's many if buts, maybes, people who could have, maybe should have, would have put it up there. I was just sort of thinking the overall, like, I don't think everybody that gets a tattoo is worshipping the devil, but I think the idea of getting tattoo is originally satanic. In essence, it is satanic.
You're getting branded, basically, aren't you?
It's so I know sometimes I'm pedantic when it comes to words and the meaning of words, but sometimes I think it's important because, especially if you ever turn up in court, you need to know.
Well, let's take this further then. When we see this symbology, which is so rife right now, it's absolutely everywhere from TV to music. Is there some kind of hidden agenda with it, or is it because they're tapping into this is just the sign? This is just what's out there now. It's quite common. It's quite popular. They're tapping into it.
Well, the problem is most of this is hitting you on a subliminal level. When you watch TV for over 4 minutes, it's been said that you enter into what's known as a theta state, which makes you more susceptible to programming and ideas and stuff like that. It's the stuff that you aren't aware of, you know, that's actually getting into your subconscious, that's full of archetypes and stuff that you're relating to it without even knowing that. It's stuff like, that's why most news programs you watch, there'll be a blue background, because subconsciously you're associating that with calmness and you know, you're triggered to believe what that person's saying, you know. And just before I forget about Aleister Crowley, about how the children are exposed to all, that's a desensitization program. It's like the first person shooters and the computer games. This is the agenda. Show you beheadings on YouTube, desensitize, just, you know, that's the agenda.
Days, what did you take away from the last couple of days? I think the last couple of days have been, in that regards, very productive.
Definitely. Every time I've thought, should I go to this event? Oh, it's raining, or I've not got enough money. But I've always just went, just go. And every time that I've went, it's always been I've always been able to take something positive from it. I've always enjoyed myself. I've always been around cool people and learned something.
Well, I just want to butt in there, Kip. Just want to give a shout out to the Fiery Scots. They're a podcast out of Scotland. They do the similar sort of stuff to ourselves. They're tuning in, listening right now. So a big shout out to you guys. It's nice to know we're not the only ones in the game here of alternative media in the Scotland. And you can find them people over on pulsefm.com.
Where are you finding them, Kev? On Facebook? So?
Yeah, they're on Facebook, and I believe you can get to it. I'll get the... I'll post the link in the chat room. It's called tunein.com, and I'll post the link in the chat room for everyone there. But yeah, another kind of alternative media station out of Scotland. It's definitely on the rise here.
And it's the more people I know local-ish that are doing this, the better. I think, for me personally, Kev. And I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure you would find it hard to.
Oh, totally, man, totally. We should all be encouraging one another.
You're in the same boat. I don't like to put words in your mouth.
Well, I was speaking to Paul, one of the Fiery Scots, at the Glasgow. Oh, it was the George Square protest.
Yeah,
we were talking about maybe
the name came up during the BBC thing as well, and I am being horrible and doing the person's a disservice by not remembering names and stuff, but I'm terrible that way. Everybody that I met there, thanks.
Well, it was myself and Paul, Kip. I don't know if you think this is a good idea, but these protests and things that we're going to, it's a good opportunity for the likes of ourselves and the Fiery Scots. We need to be printing off like cards, stuff like that, flyers where people can tune in and give them a place to actually all come together. You've got a chat room here, and we could even make some really good connections locally and even take the activism a step on. Organising things through the shows, stuff like that, gives people a chance to get together. It's definitely, we have to seize upon this awakening while it's happening now before it dies off again, much like we've seen with the Occupy movement.
Well, what I think should happen, and again, I don't want to organise or lead any sort of a thing, but I've got an idea. I know what I think should happen, this will solve everything, but an idea. And again, I think this is quite poignant. People have spoke out against it, but get more licenses or people with BBC-esque license paperwork willing to burn it outside the BBC premises again. Only this time we give RT a couple of days' notice, we give ITV a couple of days' notice in the time, and tell them that we're going to be burning licenses.
Well, I think RT would turn up, but I think that ITV, they're as controlled as the BBC. They're just another government spokesperson. They just help to construct the matrix by reading out government press releases. They never question anything, Kip. I don't see them as being some kind of independent media at all.
Oh, mate, I'm certainly not suggesting they're independent.
I know that, but I think you'd probably... I don't know. I'm sticking up for RT. I'm falling into the communists.
Oh,
here we go. Now I can see why it happens, perestroika and all that. Well, there we go. My true colours are coming out. I'm nailing them to my chest days.
See, Kev's got a hammer and sickle behind him right now.
Definitely. I'm coming to you live from the Moscow. I'm not part of Gun. I'm MUN. Moscow Underground News Network. And you know, while we're talking about Moscow and agents and things like that, right, I want to ask you guys about this one. You're bound to have seen this in the news. In fact, anyone in the UK is bound to have seen this. What about the MI6 or the GCHQ agent, Gareth Williams? A few months back, he was found dead in a hold-all, naked, padlocked, in a bath. Now, it's just come out after the inquiry. It's been ruled as an accidental death because he had an avid interest in escapology. Now, today I was reading quite an interesting one. This was
what's escapology, mate?
It's like Houdini. They actually getting out of situations like he was in. But if he was practicing, why did he have to get naked for it? And did he really would you really do that without somebody on hand in case it did go wrong? But anyway, side issue. We had one of the papers today. It was a spy, an ex-spy, Boris Karpichkov, and he was a Latvian who fled to Britain in the late 90s after being exposed as somebody who recruited double agents. He turned spies, okay? He's basically trying to say that Williams was taken out by MI6 because he was on the verge of naming a deep cover Russian agent that's been working for MI6 for years. Now, when it comes to accidental death and Mr. Double Agent, the spy catcher dude I've just mentioned there, what he said, I think we can rule both those theories out because they're coming from spooks. We can't trust a word they say. And see, if I was going to speculate and go into my usual realms of woo-woo land, I reckon maybe he was about to do a snow job on the GCHQ and David Cameron, and he's been suicided. But obviously it's not a very common way to commit suicide by locking yourself in a bag, so they've come up with a Harry Houdini escapology line. What do you think of that, guys?
I was going to say, that's just reminded me, Kev, I should maybe touch a wee bit on the old Snowden thing.
Definitely, Kip, the Bertha Foundation.
But first, I'll let you guys finish up with what you're saying, because that bit...
Well, Daze, what do you think of that one? Did you see any of this story at all, man?
Do you know what? I kind of briefly skipped by it, but it's ridiculous, you know. It's probably the most ridiculous suicide that I've ever heard.
It's right up there with Dr. David Kelly's, in my opinion.
It is hard downhill material.
I mean, even let's just say he was into this escapology game or whatever. Like I say, surely you would set up some safeguards on something that you're obviously not that very good at, judging by the outcome. And I don't mean to sound cold or anything. I mean, obviously this guy's tragically lost his life, but come on.
Well, to me, it's an open shut suitcase.
Boom, boom. So we're calling shenanigans on that one. Is that what we're saying for that?
Yes.
Definitely. Right, what else have we got in my little news cycle today? Right, this kind of ties in line with the Crowley stuff. Kip, I don't know if you'd seen this.
Well, Kev, I was going to say about the suitcase thing. It's a distraction because it's so laughable, and then it's a realisation that they're laughing and lying in your face.
Yep.
Definitely, Kip.
Now,
it's just starting to become absurd, but they're just so blatant about it.
It's authoritative impunity.
Now, see, at that BBC thing, there was a guy there with a camera, and he said he was from Vietnam, and there was somebody at some point debating with the right that we had to stand there at the BBC and protest. And he was saying, well, you wouldn't have that in Vietnam. But it's authoritarianism. You don't need to be in a cage to be caged. I mean,
it's David Icke that says that we're in an invisible prison cell as it is. We just can't see the bars.
Well, I just know that I'm happy to compromise along the line to try and make more people more free. But when you say free, you need genuine freedom, and I do have confidence in the human beings in this planet. That I have the confidence that more of them are good than bad.
How long are we going to have those freedoms, though, Kip? I mean, do you buy into the whole FEMA camp thing? Do you see it all going martial law one day? Or do you think that's just put out there for fear purposes, disinfo, whatever you want to call it? Do you think it's a realistic opportunity?
I think FEMA camps are real.
I mean, there's no debating
how much
camps
is
are
a
real.
plan? Yes.
I think the question should be, are they going to go concentration camp, or is that just all hype and, again, infotainment? Are they really there for what they say, to help people out in emergencies? Is it just people overthinking it? I mean, all the story about the guillotines, the train tracks going in there, stuff like that, it certainly has Nazi connotations to it, but, again, are we overthinking it?
Are FEMA traditionally good at helping people in emergencies?
Well, let's look at Katrina. No. Let's look at Sandy. No. Let's look at anything they've done. No.
Oh, let's touch on this. I want to say this. I do not know. I'm not a scientist. I do not know science inside out or at all. I don't know science. One little bit. I watched a lot of Dutch Sensi stuff about what happens as regards to the Typhoon, whatever it was called. A lot of convincing stuff. The mainstream media debunked it. Then he done another video. The mainstream media didn't debunk it, but an expert saying stuff. And then he done another video sticking to his guns and confirming it. I'm hopefully going to do a video. It was on the No Agenda show, and this guy, Adam Curry, not me personally, so don't attack me personally. This isn't my personal opinion. I don't know this for diddly squat. I'm just a repeater right now. This guy says that maybe the theory that it was man-made is true, but the stuff that Dutch Sense has shown is there's something flawed in it. And I'm not technically minded, so I don't know, but I shall grab it.
I'm no scientist
audio
either.
And put it up for people's consideration.
Definitely. I mean, I've watched a lot of Dutch's videos. Interesting. I know there's a lot of people claim that the heart rings. Well, that's it. I don't want to say too much because I've got a biased kind of opinion. I mean, I don't have the scientific background like yourself to debunk it completely. But a lot of people say that...
myself?
Exactly, mate.
Like I've got a white...
I mean, there's us, Kip, right? There's us. Here's a prime example.
I thought you were saying like myself, like I had one.
But me and you, okay, we might not understand what Dutch is saying, and a lot of the time I disagree with what he's saying, but we move on. We don't hound the guy. We don't troll him. It's good. It's okay to disagree and move on, but just move on.
Spot on, mate. Spot on.
Well, let's see.
We're getting
hang on. No, I want to ask you, Kip. Do you think the Typhoon? Do you think they, I don't know, speeded it up, supercharged it with HAARP or an ionospheric heater? Or
I think it happened.
Yeah. I mean, what's your take on it?
Right. Well, I try and be is it logic or practical or keep it of both as possible I can. Right. I like that. Hiromisha no Toto, the Japanese sounding dude, but the Japanese
Michio Kaku.
That's the guy. He came out and admitted that America done weather manipulation during Vietnam. Right, so
there's a weather weapons treaty with the UN. So if there's a treaty over it, that stands to reason they exist.
So, I think it's possible, right? And then I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it's possible. And then what I'm also saying is, what did they have to gain and what's happened? Oh, look how many people are dying. Warships. Send in the warships. You know, nothing says I'm going to save you than fucking some nuclear bombs.
Well, it just annoys me that
the HMS Splendid fucking strap on in your ass.
They're asking all of us skint people here under austerity-ridden Britain to dip into our pockets to send money over to that country when there's 23,000 families.
That's why people shouldn't pay taxes.
Eating at food banks in this country. I mean,
people shouldn't pay taxes.
It's a bit cliche, but people say charity begins at home. Well, I'm sorry, but it really should. Well, there's people that I'm walking past in the street that are hungry. I would rather help people here than give it to a faceless organisation and you can't even see where your money's going. Let's look at Haiti, folks. That place is still absolutely a hellhole 3 years on from a major earthquake. So
just send us your money.
Do you not think a lot of these people that do donate to that, the trendies, shall we call them, with the good jobs, do you think a lot of that's to alleviate what they maybe misperceived guilt over the fact that they've got against the people who have not got?
People don't understand taking half an hour going and giving somebody without something to eat a bag of crisps will make you. It will do more good and make you feel better if everybody done it than giving 20 quid to the Red Cross, Oxfam, all these shit holes.
Well, Daze, what's your opinion? Would you give money to the people of the Philippines? And I hope people don't think I'm like being cold against them, because it's tragic, it's horrible, the scenes are absolutely terrible. But my point is, go for it, Daze.
I'd love to be able to give money to them, but the people that we end up giving money to are the likes of the Red Cross, who are basically the Rothschild money laundering organisation. and their money gets spent on that family's avarice, living at large. You know, it's when are people going to wake up? You know. But just to see if I could just go back to that wee point about weather modification. Obviously, there's the treaties and that. There's been patents as well. This, for me, exists in reality. And the thing that I'll be keeping an eye on, I know we maybe spoke about it before, is the SBX-1, which left Pearl Harbor recently. Now, whether that's a comm system or whether it's a weapon, I don't know. But it's worth keeping an eye on. You know, this thing just does not look right.
It's definitely rumoured to be part of that ionospheric heater system, the HARP array. It's something to do with that. But look, there's been a comment.
Can you tell me the information?
Wait 2 seconds, Kip.
I've never
Kip, I want to deal with this first because it's in the chat room and somebody's brought this up, okay? We're talking about donations there. Now, somebody said all donations are screwed up, including Unbound Radio, where I used to ask people for money. Well, I think there's a big difference, really, because I wasn't trying to guilt people into parting with their money. I was asking people who did have money, even if it was 50 cents or $1, if they wanted, they could contribute just to keep that media on the air. I think there's a big difference between that than coming home and sitting eating your dinner and being bombarded with heartbreaking stories and pictures that do make you feel absolutely heartbroken, and then asking you for money on the top of that. I think it's a totally different situation whatsoever.
And there's nothing more fake and horrible in this life than fake charity. And there's so much out there.
And just last note on that, you were actually getting something in return for your donation to Unbound Radio. You were getting a source of media where you could come and visit people like me and Kip, Popeye, Joe Joseph, lots of different hosts with different views. So to say it's not chat, that's a totally different situation.
You're not playing on people's emotional strings.
Just in the chat room, I was just monitoring the chat room, so I just thought I'd address it, you know.
Who's saying it in the chat room?
It's Anon6330.
6333.
But anyway, you were talking about that array, Days. Do you think it's an earthquake machine or a weather weapon machine, something like that?
I wouldn't claim to be an expert on it. Just the video that I've watched, the person is pointing out that wherever this thing seems to have been recently, there seems to have been extreme weather events. And it's...
we jump out to a break, catches.
We'll occupy the offices of you till you do the bidding of the many, not the few. Our nation was built upon...
Okay, listeners, welcome back to Gun. You're listening to Kev and Kip, and this week we're joined by our good friend Days. This is Glasgow Underground News Network. Nearly another 2 hours have flown by again, so it's the last segment of the show. And just before we started the show, Days was going to tell us a wee story, and myself and Kip cut him off because it sounded really, really interesting. I believe it was something to do with Mars, was it, Days?
Oh, that's right. That's my trip into woo-woo land for you this week.
Last segment of the show is always woo-woo land. We always go out on a limb here.
Cool. Well, this is going to fit right in. I just watched a video today, and it was basically, the contention was that, now there's a guy called John Grotzinger. He's the rover principal investigator of the Mars rover. Now he's come out recently and says that they have made a discovery and it's one for the history books, and that they really need to do the final test on it. But he's so happy. It's a earth-shaking discovery. Now this video points to a film made a while back. It's called Jesus on Mars by Philip Joseph Farmer. And that film pertains to artifacts proving that Christ is an alien. Now the person in the video goes on to, and Mark Dice is on the video as well, and they're basically telling us how Well, they're reminding us of how Reagan, he was telling us that they would be a unifying effect if we ever came into a sort of alien, if there was ever an alien threat, you know. Also, there's a financier called Paul Krugman, and his financial stimulus package just now is based on an alien threat. You know, everything seems to be converging. The Vatican have now said that Jesus shapeshifted at the Last Supper. Basically, what this comes down to is these people are contending that we're going to see NASA saying that the Ten Commandments are going to be found on Mars, and we must bear in mind that the Mars rover has the facility to produce laser beams and carve into rock, that it could actually do this itself and present it as a sort of Project Bluebeam, you know.
Well, I think that is absolutely, totally amazing info, and you know, it will tie in with a New World Order agenda, Kip, wouldn't it? Because they're going to have to take down, basically, I believe anyway, they'll take down the Darwin's evolution. They'll replace that with the Anunnaki, for want of a better phrase, and then Jesus coming from space would definitely tie in with that. He would be a space brother.
If Jesus came from space, it would blow my...
There's also Patty Broussard, I might be bothering her name, but she works on the jet propulsion side of things, and she has been posting some weird stuff, tablets, and underneath the Eye of Providence, like the tablets are stone on the Ten Commandments and stuff like that. It seems to be getting a hold of her.
Well, I think me and Kip have spoke about this before, and I know it's up for debate whether it was really said or not, but we have Dr. Carol Rosen, who came out and said that Werner von Braun said to her it would be basically the Cold War, then would move into a time of a war on terror. It would be Muslim extremists. After that, there would be a fake asteroid threat, and then the last card, the famous phrase goes, the last card would be the fake alien invasion. Do you see that as a viable option, Kip, to bring us into a New World Order and also introduce a New World Order, one religion?
See, I definitely think it's a viable option, but because I'm always suspicious about the suspicious, I wonder why, because there's a lot of people that are in the same boat as me and think that is a viable option, and I always wonder why I have been fed the stuff to allow me to get, like, the information to allow me to come to that conclusion. So, but
you just have to look at television as well, Kip. You've got the popularity of shows like Ancient Aliens.
Kev,
and they're trying to make it cool, aren't they?
What I like to always say about truther, I don't even like to pigeonhole myself as anything, but people I like to see is seeking for more truths and more than most. They're the first people that if a UFO was in the sky and green men popped out and said, "I'm here to take over," the vast majority of us would go as a hologram.
Well, even if I was to see that X-37B...
No, we're branded as the people that believe in we green men.
See the machine that Freeman calls the Flying Twinkie, that drone that's up there, the space drone? Even if I was to see that, that would be a UFO to me, because it would be unidentifiable. It's flying and it's an object, so I mean... What do you think, O'Days? Do you think we can see a time coming up very, very soon when they will try and pull off something like that? Or will it be an actual real threat?
Well, there's several ways that they could go with it. It's the sort of flip side of the fake global warming thing, whereby, in my opinion, that is to unify the threat, to make the whole of humanity a threat, so that they need to call for a new global response to it, you know? That would be the flip side to that, an external sort of Jesus from Mars, you know?
I think the timing would be quite right for it, because I think the war on terror really is, that myth's collapsing. But then again, so should the climate the global warming myth. It should have collapsed when the ClimateGate emails came out. But they're still pumping that. They're even using Typhoon Haiyan as a vehicle to pump the global warming stuff again. The BBC, I heard them talking about it. This has been caused by global warming. That died years ago, but yet they still try and pump it out there.
See, and the propaganda that's attached to it is disgusting. The stuff it sells. And, I mean, like, I seen a clip talking about, it was an American broadcast in America, if only enough. And it was talking about the typhoon. It was saying, what if it hit America? And then somebody was pointing out it was this in the sense that it won't hit America because it's different hemisphere, so on and so forth. Lots of different very poignant facts why it wouldn't hit. And then you just realise it's fear-mongering. And what the best way I like to, if you want to analyse the news, if you really want to analyse, if independently you want to analyse the news, I'm not telling you what to think of these stories, but this is the best way to think. Think, if you can work out television, if you can watch television when they're trying to sell you a lighter, and realise everything in that's like set up like, hey, look out! See if you think about that, about the mainstream media news, and I'm not shitting you. If you think about that, about the mainstream media news, you'll be able to analyse it and then get very closer to the truth rather than what somebody's feeding you. This is the difference between watching the news and like just accepting it in face value, or like taking the information and trying to come to a different one. So everything you see on the news, all your clips everywhere, on my channel, on Kev's channel. I mean, like, here's another thing as well, Kev. They call you a commie because you put up RT. I mean, it's in, like, do you know what? You're small-minded morons because you. Well, in fact, maybe being Kev are arrogant or ignorant in the sense that we expect people who gravitate towards our channel to have a bit more fucking wares about them. They sort of a fucking just go, oh, and accept the RT propaganda.
The reason I use RT more than most is
it's alternative media, mate. It's alternative information, and we don't put that up there as gospel. We put it up there as alternative information. I don't know about you, man. That's to be honest. Like, fuck you. Yes, I know it's fucking Russian propaganda, but it doesn't make it mean it's not true, and it doesn't mean that it's not valid for being up there. And it. Oh.
A lot of the time, I mean, it is Russian propaganda, right? But the most effective form of propaganda in itself is the truth. And a lot of the time, they're reporting the truth, and it's refreshing to us over here in the West because our own news media does not bother doing it because they're all spokespeople for the governments. They just construct the reality around us that they're fed by the government or warlocks, wizards, whatever you want to call them, because basically Parliament have started calling that a coven. It's the biggest coven in the whole of the UK, and then they feed down their magic to all the other covens around the country. Glasgow City Coven that sits beside George Square. It's just, I mean, Dave, you can't deny that these people, they're forwarding, as you would put it, a Luciferian agenda.
Kev, I need to blow you away with a few things. Sorry to interrupt, man, right? You and Days, like every meal, I'm supposing maybe more, or maybe some of us more than less than others, if that makes sense. But I love looking at a map, right? I love symbology in maps. I love things like that in maps. Like you, Kev, I told you that when you explained the 9/11 symbology with the two towers and Solomon's Temple behind, or Solomon's Brothers behind, sorry.
That's right.
Now, Kev, me and you've met each other there in Glasgow Green with a big phallus.
Oh, there's definitely a big phallic symbol there,
right.
Man. Huge.
Now, I have not done this myself. I'm not going to do it now because I'll end up lost and humming in hand on a live broadcast. But apparently, if you zoom in to where the big phallus is, you'll find that the phallus is at the apex of some sort of a triangle.
I'll
And
check that myself, but it would not surprise me.
No,
man.
no, right. That's not the end of it, right? But then you need to just like sort of zoom out a wee bit, right? And I can't remember where it is. It's either across the river or something, or so on and so forth. But you will be able to find this quite easy. But if I was to say there was an area next to something like that, and it was called something, what would you call it?
An area where
Next to a big phallus and triangle.
go for
Temple,
it.
sorry, mate. I'm not putting you in the spot.
No, I just didn't know where you were going there, mate. I was
No, but it's because you told us about it's called. There's a place. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Temple Drive or Temple Place, or right looking onto the pyramid.
that is no coincidence in my mind.
Oh no, it's a coincidence, just like 9/11.
I think anyone who likes to look at that kind of thing, Washington's one of the best ones.
If you support Celtic and you've got a Celtic top, that's just a coincidence, my friend. You know what I mean? It's fucking.
But if people are into that, what do you think, Days? I think one of the best places to look is probably Washington for the symbology and the layout of the streets.
Yeah, that is really blatant. If you just look at the sort of street layout of Washington, you see the 5-point pentagram.
Obviously, very influenced by the Freemasons now. Is there some kind of... Does that attract power? I mean, look at the power that sits in Washington. Is it... or is it just like their stamp that they made the place?
I would imagine that most of these follow the ley lines or the dragon lines of the Earth grid. And that there is energy transmitted through the...
Of course, the pyramid, it sits on the ley lines as well, doesn't it?
I would imagine it does, mate, yeah.
Most of the megalithic kind of sites you'll find are Stonehenge. It's got a couple of converging ones. It's rumoured, that takes us back to Crowley, that Boleskine House, he bought that because that was rumoured to be a convergence of two ley lines.
If you watch the end of if you type in ancient knowledge into YouTube, you'll find a 4-hour video. It starts off with cymatics and Coral Castle and the pyramid. The way that it goes on to describe the Earth grid and the ley lines is, I've never seen anything like it in my life. The connections are unbelievable. There's too much information to get into just now, but I would really urge everybody, ancient knowledge, just type it into YouTube. First thing you'll find, 4-hour long.
Well, we had the pleasure of watching maybe the first 40 minutes or so of that all together up at your house, Days, and it was mind-blowing, to say the least. Would you agree, Kip? That is for sure. Right, well, while we're on that kind of subject then, I mean, myself and Kip, we spoke about the pyramids before. Days, how do you think they built the pyramids, man? What do you think that was all about? Do you think it's how we were told?
I'm no expert on this kind of stuff, but
you're in the last section now. It's woo-woo time.
Having watched that video,
you've got 15 minutes to tell us we're all doomed.
It appears that, according to that video anyway, that cymatics was used. That's basically... Have you ever seen the experiments where they put the salt on like a speaker top and they'll start oscillating it and bring the sound up, and it's ooh, and you'll see the salt all moving into these more delicate patterns as the frequency increases? Well, that's to indicate the building blocks of the universe, you know. It's... sound is a real...
With the fluid that you put on a speaker. You put, like, to simplify, there's fluid, like glue, like slime, you put on a speaker, and the speaker makes a noise, and this fluid dances, kind of.
Well, if you had to take a guess then, Days, what would you say the purpose of the pyramids were?
That's beyond my knowledge at this point. I really don't know.
Well, which theory would you opt for? I mean, even if...
I think they were initially... I think they've evolved. I think they were obviously think they've evolved. Just like... I think
the one thing that we know that they weren't is burial chambers. We can rule out the one thing they say they were for.
I think somebody get buried there someday at some point, but in the relative scheme of things, it was nothing. But
All I would say is that I think they were built by Cymatics. I would leave it there.
Well, do you think then, with the area called Cydonia on Mars days, talking of pyramids, would they throw that into this Space Jesus kind of story that you were maybe starting to tell us with the Mars rover earlier on?
It's definitely worth keeping an eye on, mate. Definitely.
Certainly makes you think, doesn't it? And of course you've got the Vatican, they've got their Lucifer telescope. You've also got people from the Vatican at CERN monitoring what's going on there. So they're playing their part in this.
Do you know what I've got? I'd like, you know that I'd never listened to Freeman in my life. I don't listen to any.
Oh, we're not fanboys at all, mate.
But he's got some new stuff, right? And I've not done it myself yet, and I'm hoping to do it.
Are you talking about Aliens from Hell?
Aye.
Absolutely fantastic presentation. I can't
Have you
believe
watched it, mate?
I have. I can't believe you haven't watched that yet. And to the listeners, he's also Mr. Freeman, the man
You
himself.
looked at Forest on Google Maps.
I haven't, right, but I remember, see
That's
Big
not
Dino
funny.
we met at
Forest
Bilderberg.
is the seal of devil.
Well, Big Dino that we met at Bilderberg, he actually brought that to my attention when it was kind of going around the net. And I kind of didn't really look at it much at the time, but yet, I was just about to say, Freeman was, this week he was on Red Ice Radio, and he was going over a lot of the Aliens from Hell stuff, so there's 2 hours of Freeman on there. Yeah, that was Kazakhstan, that Pentagon was.
Across it. Sorry, I think that's where I definitely came across it, Liam. That was brilliant, man. So thanks to anybody that's pointed again, thanks to Freeman. He's a cracking resource for anybody that's interested in that sort of information.
Yeah, he's also got a magazine called Free Your Mind. Well, just coming up for the last 5 minutes of the show, guys. What's on your radar, Kip? What's your plans? Anything coming up this week? Any more activism planned?
No, man, unless something comes across my path. If I can be there, I'll do it, man. Apart from that, I'm planning on putting more, doing a more news aggregate style on my channel again, which means putting a lot more time and effort into watching a lot more stuff. But I'm willing to do it.
Well, look forward to seeing that, man. Days, do you want to give your social media a plug again?
Yep, you can check my news stuff out on Daiz, D-A-I-Z, Independent News, and my band are called Fractal Distractions, and you can check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, and we're going to have another couple of videos up very shortly.
And I believe 1 week very soon, you and the band, hopefully, fingers crossed, will come on and play the Gun theme song, a bit unplugged, a bit live. Is that right, Dave?
Something
Yep.
live.
Yep, that one's called Pull the Other One, and it's dedicated to Larry Silverstein, and we would be honoured to play that live for you at some point, mate.
That'd be awesome, and I think we can be telling the listeners there'll be a lot more of Days coming up on Gun. He's exploding onto the scene at the moment, isn't he, Kip? He's been uploading the videos, stepping up to the plate, getting the courage, as he was saying earlier, and it's brilliant to see, man. It's brilliant to see this. It's an evolution of your Days. When I first met you, your first protest on that, man.
It says to you, Kev, the reason why I really started, well, we want to amp up these videos now, because it was like a line in the sand point. See when that woman get the payout for the baby P, maybe you'll be able to explain that a bit better. The counsellor, they get the payout, the £600,000 payout, you know?
Yeah, this was a young child that died at the hands of his parents, and basically it was they call it an oversight by I think it was Haringey Council down in London, and basically what happened there was the woman who had let this case slip through the net, and it ended up resulting in the young lad's death. She was actually given a six-figure sum as was it unfair dismissal, Days?
Something along the lines, and it was just...
She was basically rewarded for her...
For her evil.
Yes, there's no other way of putting it.
And that was it. That was enough's enough point for me. I can't take it anymore.
Well, on that note, and this kind of ties into what we were saying about Crowley as well. In the UK today, the big debate has been some professors come out and he's kind of making a case for lowering the age of consent in the UK because he comes up with the reasons of children are becoming sexualised via media, pop music, the internet, stuff like that. And to combat that, we should drop the legal age of consent. Well, I tell him, why don't we combat it by getting rid of the sexualisation of the music industry, the sexualisation of television, and let's stop pumping it into children and let's let them have a childhood.
How do you get rid of it? Like, I'm not asking you this question, Kev. I'm sort of saying hypothetically, hoping to answer it myself. And I was going to say, by disconnecting profit to making sluts out of 8-year-olds.
That's what. I mean, it sounds a bit harsh, but you said it, man.
And I think they touched on it early on. I don't know whether we were live.
It's funny how it all comes back.
But none of us are prudes, man. You like her nanny as much as the next one. Do you know what I mean? But there's a line, and then there's like a moral code where it's like, well, and it's not even like, oh, don't say penis round a 5-year-old. It's like.
But the thing is, Kip, the next step on, in a couple of years from now, when it's normal for 15-year-olds, the next thing it'll be, well, we need to lower it to 14, and then 13. What do you make of that, Days? Do you think that's me overthinking again, or is it the totalitarian tiptoe, as we said before the show?
Mate, you're bang on that. It's a totalitarian tiptoe. It's the frog being boiled. It's the normalcy bias. It's all of that.
I mean, they're even trying to make a case for making paedophilia a sexual orientation. It'll be on forums right up there with gay, bisexual, heterosexual. They're trying to normalise it because that is what these evil Luciferian parasites are into. The ones at the top, the ones who are constructing our reality for us.
Right, what you'll hear on the news and what you have heard on the news is like this professor saying, hey, well, look, it's the 15-year-olds will now be able to talk to them about, they do this and then they talk to them. They can do that already, right? Now, the only difference is legally, 80-year-old, 90-year-old, 100-year-old, 60-year-old, 50-year-old, 40-year-old, 30-year-old guys, maybe, can sleep with 15-year-old women and get...
there's nothing women about a 15-year-old.
And well, you know what I'm saying? 15-year-olds and legally not be charged. That's the difference. It's not going to change a fucking.
So, what do you think of that, Days?
I think maybe a simple solution, like a better regulated watershed for a start. You know, a lot of these pop songs you hear, it's like they're going to say the swear word, and instead of saying the full swear word, they maybe say shh instead of the shh. You know what I'm going to say, you know? But it's right there. The child hears it. They know what you know what I'm trying to say, mate.
Oh, I totally hear you, man.
I like to see that. Who was that? Miley Cyrus and that other character. You know, that is just. That is bottom of the barrel stuff, you know, and that's what's been presented to our children, man.
Every day, it's every newspaper, every hour on the television, there's something about her twerking with dwarfs, and it's
Days, can I elaborate on what you're saying there, man? Like, you're saying, like...
a minute left, Kip.
Shit. A minute left, like, what were you saying about... Shit, like, I think what you were saying is it needs to explain better.
Probably for next week then, folks, because that's just going out. Remember to stay tuned to truthfrequencyradio.com. Chris Everard's coming up.
Is get with the rhythm because when we sign out, because we need to say something when we sign out.
So for another week, guys, that's done.
I'm done.
Done.
Woo! Yeah.